What's up, everybody? It's your boy Al. Happy Monday. So, President Obama, Barack Obama, decided to chastise black men and hold us to task, saying that we can't afford to sit out the election. And it's got some people up in arms talking about his comments, wondering if what he said was appropriate or inappropriate, wondering if he was right or if he was way off. I got some thoughts on it. President Obama called us to task as black men, and I gotta say, it's kind of head scratching when you look at everything that's going on. The first thing I would want to ask is why just black men? Um, I think trying to call us to task on the election is being knowing that he's a Democrat, knowing that he's fully backing Kamala Harris is him suggesting in some sort of way that we as black men will and have to vote Democrat for Kamala Harris. And he's basically trying to make black men a monolith, which is wrong within itself because just because we're black men doesn't mean that we're going to vote Democrat or Republican. So calling on us to not sit this one out with the assumption that we're going to lift Kamala Harris to the White House is a huge mistake for him to do. First of all, we must understand Kamala Harris for black people doesn't have that same Obama feel. Barack Obama was for some of us, and I'll explain this, a perceived first black president. When I say perceived, I'll explain that in a minute, what I mean by that. And so for a lot of black men and black women, or black people in general, we felt this hope of having this opportunity to have the first black president in the United States of America. And for a lot of us, we were happy with Obama, and a lot of us were not happy with Obama. We didn't see many policies passed on behalf of black people. We didn't see the black community as a whole thrive under his presidency. So for a lot of people, it was a lot of smoke and mirrors. And for him to get up there and to say that and to call out black men as if, number one, we're still on the Democratic side after seeing him be president and not really do anything to uplift the black community, is false, or it's wrong. It's a bad tactic. It's a bad play. It's a bad call. We must understand, and he must understand, and Kamala Harris must understand that. Listen, it's not that black men are going to sit out the election, but you must understand that a lot of black men are starting to go more to the right, Republican wise. Why? Because as black men who are, and a lot of black men in this country are starting to thrive, or starting to increase their income. They're starting to increase their businesses that they own, and for a lot of black men, Republican policies simply don't appeal to us. I think the mistake that Barack Obama is making, one of the mistakes that he's making, is thinking that all black men are going to support what many believe are the struggling policies of the Democratic Party, when a lot of black men say, hey, I'm progressing, we're progressing, I own businesses, I'm a CEO, I'm a president, I own my own company, I'm moving and shaking, I'm a high ranking employee in my company. Democratic policies and tax policies don't benefit me. My brother-in-laws and I were talking, we all make over six figures in our salaries in our walks of life. And my brothers and I were talking, and we were remembering how our taxes were a lot better under the Donald Trump administration. And even though we're not the biggest Trump fans, we can be swayed. We're not Trump, we're not MAGA, if you will. We can be swayed by either side, but they have to convince us. But that's one of the things that we were talking about, and we're four black men who all are well paid, good earners, and we saw our taxes in better shape under Donald Trump, and that's the truth for us. And what we must understand, and Barack Obama has to understand, is you're not talking about a bunch of brothers on the street, man. You got a lot of us that are moving and shaking, and we just don't subscribe to the policies, a lot of the policies of the Democratic Party. And then there are, we're all over the place as black men. You have the black men who will not vote for Kamala Harris because they're older black men and they believe in men leadership. You have the older black men who will vote for Kamala Harris because they say anybody black is good. You have the young black men who will vote for Kamala Harris because they say the same, any black is good. And you have the young black men who won't vote for Kamala Harris because they say, I'm not a simpleton and not just going to vote for you because you black. You need to show me more, and you haven't shown me more. So therefore, I'm not going to vote for you. And so for him to call for us to not sit this one out is to assume that we're all just going to pile on the Democratic Party like it's the 1960s or like it's his year when he was getting elected. And then furthermore, why just call out black men? Why not call out, for example, why not call out women? Not just black women, but all women, white women, Hispanic women, because this is a woman who's running for office. And for a lot of women, I mean, as a black man, I've seen a black man, again, I'll get to that in a minute, become president. So where are all these women who need to be on the train? Him calling out black women to black men to me was off, because there aren't as many black men as there are white and Hispanic women. Why not call him out? Because let's be honest, the reason why Hillary Clinton lost to Donald Trump is because women turned on Hillary Clinton. Women are the reason why Hillary Clinton didn't get voted in. Not just women, but white women, and particularly overwhelmingly 53, I think, percent of white women voted for Donald Trump. So if you're looking to get her in office, man, don't come to us. We're not just gonna be that simple. The black man is not that simple of a creature, of a man that you can just call us out as if you're just gonna line us up and get us to just go vote Democrat and get Kamala on in there. And again, there aren't as many black men as women. So you need to focus on getting the women, not black men. We're starting to think more progressive, not progressively, but we're starting to think more conservative. A lot of black men are more conservative in their spending. A lot of black men are more conservative in their policies. A lot of black men are more conservative economically. And so it's just not making any sense why he would call out black men. And then, for me, there's this. I think he's out of place to call out black men for a couple of reasons. Number one, you don't identify with a lot of us. And what I mean is this. For some people, he does. And for some people, it's okay. I have friends who say, he's okay. He's the black president. So that's fine. He's the first black president, so that's fine. But for a lot of us, man, like myself, I look at President Barack Obama, I kind of look at him with one eyebrow raised. And what I mean is this. Barack Obama is not one of us when it comes to a traditional black person, a fundamentally raised black person. What I mean by that is a black person who we can trace our lineage back to slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, civil rights, all of that. Barack Obama is not that. He's the first black president, but he's not a president whose ancestry is invested in this country. And I heard a lot of black people saying, when he got elected, we were making all these emotional statements. And one of the statements I heard was, oh, God took us from slavery to the White House. No, he did not, because Barack Obama didn't come from slavery. His father came straight out of Africa. He is not the descendant of the history, the struggles, the strifes, the fighting of the black people in this country. And for a lot of black people like myself, I look at that kind of sideways, because you mean to tell me after all that our ancestors have gone through to help build this country, through slavery, through Reconstruction, through Jim Crow, through the Civil Rights Act, we've had people fighting Civil War, we've had people fighting World War I, we've had people fighting World War II. Black people have Black Americans have done so much to make America what it is today. And you mean to tell me when it's time to elect the first black president, you don't elect anybody who comes from any of that? You take a guy whose father came straight out of Africa and bypass anyone who's got ties to this country and put an African guy son in the White House, an African and white woman son in the White House. And that's a whole nother story, a whole nother conspiracy theory, if you will, because I remember Ann Coulter telling Ramaswamy, if I'm saying his name correct, that she would have supported him if he wasn't if he wasn't Arab. Um, but she said that she made the statement that I heard, that she said that America has made every has had every president of the United States has had Anglo-Saxon blood. And I said, wow, that's interesting. It's interesting that she knows that she's fully aware of that, because that tells me that not only are they aware of the blood that they allow to get into the White House, and Barack Obama is one of those Anglo-Saxon blood. His mom's white, but that means they're also aware of the blood that they keep out. And when I look at Barack Obama, no transatlantic slave blood in his body. When I look at Kamala Harris, no transatlantic slave blood. You can say she's black, whatever. She does not. She is not fundamentally a fundamental homegrown black person, just like he's not. And so for me, I say you're out of place because, bro, you're not one of us. You couldn't tell people my father's age and people older than you what they better do, because you don't come from this. Your father came straight. For all I know, your father came from a tribe who sold us over here. And America made sure that they put you in instead of a fundamental black person, a fundamentally foundational black person, and just knew that we wouldn't care because your skin is the same color or near the same color as ours, and so we wouldn't care. We just be so emotional and crying and hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. We wouldn't think to look as deep into a situation like that. But I do. And so for me, I don't think you're in a position to call us out, man, because you don't come from the struggle. And I was listening to somebody that they talked about how he had to read and learn how to become a black man in America because he's not one of us. I mean, he walks the walk now and he talks the talk, and he married a sister, which everybody give him props for, Michelle. But he can't tell you about how his father went through Jim Crow or went through civil rights movement. He can't tell you nothing about his ancestors and how he's happy that, you know, his descendants can look down on him and think that after all they've been through in this country that he was the first black president, because he didn't come from that. He didn't come from that. He has no ties here in that right. And so for me, for you to call us out, bro, I'm like, come on, man, you were fortunate. You were in the right place, the right time, with the right circumstances to become the first black president, first president with African blood, and y'all say that. And you were fortunate, but don't try to emotionalize black men, and that's another thing about us. Black women are going to vote for Kamala no matter what. Now, I see a lot of sisters, charging her up the wall. But most black women are going to vote for her because, again, like Obama, it's an emotion. See, black, we want to have these emotional highs and things of that nature. But we don't work like that. Black men in general, we don't work off of emotion. We're more logical creatures. I remember the late, great Stephen Darby, God rest his soul, talked about how the reason why T.D. Jakes never did a Men Thou Art Loose. He does Women Thou Art Loose. He didn't do Men Thou Art Loose because he was able to raise so many offerings at his church from getting women on these emotional highs. And anytime he would get them on an emotional high, shouting full of the Holy Ghost, they would be able to collect more money from him. But he couldn't do that with men because, the men came in, they were praising the Lord. And after that, the men said, okay, now teach us. And they couldn't raise all of these offerings because they were like, we just gave. Now we want ready for you to teach us. We're not here to get emotional and shout and fall out on the floor. We want you to give us some structure, to lead our families and to raise our children, the way the Bible tells us to. So he couldn't collect on all of these offerings off of the men because the men wouldn't continue to get super emotional. And that's one of the things we need to understand about us as black men. We're not going to just, I got some friends that will. They super emotional. I'm voting for a black woman no matter what. Go ahead, do your thing. But for the majority of us, even those of us who say we're going to vote for Kamala Harris, and there are a lot of black men who are going to vote for her because she's black. But for a growing population of us, we are no longer bound to our emotion. We have families, we have children, we're economically on the rise. We want to have the freedom to do certain things. We want to make sure that our neighborhoods are not overrun with people who have entered here illegally. And under that administration, they have entered here illegally. And so for us as black men, we're not just going to just vote for you because you're black. So I think Barack Obama needs to really, that whole team needs to just kind of take a step back and re-strategize this thing. Because if you think we're just going to vote for you because, and I made a video why I'm not voting for Kamala Harris just because I'm black. And some black people were trying to throw me under the bus, but hey, and most of them again were sisters, because a lot of brothers understand. Hey, I'm with you, man. Look, we can't just vote for her because she's black, because she's perceived to be black. Because for a lot of us, we want to hear what she's planning on doing. And what I hear from her when somebody asks her what she's planning on doing is I hear a lot of laughter, I hear a lot of chuckling, I hear a lot of talking around the bush, but I don't really hear any hard, solid, concrete plans and policies that she's planning to put in place. Now, what she tells us is she continues to remind us of the character of Trump. And a lot of us, we understand the character of Trump. But when you don't have to sit down and eat dinner at the table with him every night, some of us don't care about the character. Now, we should care about his character to a certain extent. But when your concern is your family and your pocketbook and your dollars, and under a certain president, your pocketbook, your dollars, your family is straight, then it doesn't matter what he said about grabbing women to them. It doesn't matter. A lot of us are about the securing of our families, and we want to know who's going to do that better as a president. We're not going to be tied into the emotion. Some of us, we're not going to be tied into all of that. We want to know who's going to help us secure our families better. So Harris, and Obama, they need to get together. And I know he was trying to help out, but man, I think that was a grave misstep, because a lot of black men don't appreciate the notion or the suggestion that we're that simple, that we're just going to file in and just vote Democrat or for the black woman. We're more complicated creature than that, and we like to be treated as such. So for a lot of us, it's not out of the picture that Harris can't get the vote of the black man, but it's not going to be on an emotional sister girl thing. She's going to have to show and prove. So that's just my thoughts on my way home. It's your boy Al, man. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. Y'all have a good week. Peace.